Can I tell you a secret? There's one psychological move that completely flips the sales game. So instead of chasing clients, they start chasing you. It works so well that the first time I used it, I honestly felt like I was cheating. Now you might have noticed that I've got this do not disturb sign here. It's in French because I'm traveling, but I'll explain why in just a minute. Because first, here's what most people get wrong about sales. They try to convince people to buy when they should be making clients prove that they're a good fit to work with you. I know that sounds backwards, but it's exactly what keeps people stuck trying to prove their value instead of making clients prove theirs. And when I started using the move that I'm going to show you, prospects stopped saying things like, "Let me think about it," and started saying things like, "What do I need to do to work with you?" No chasing, no awkward follow-ups, just inbound demand. And this isn't just theory. I've used this same principle to help business owners and entrepreneurs and creators land million-dollar clients, including personally working with clients like Google and Amazon and Meta, and a ton of other brands that you've definitely heard of. So in this video, I'm going to show you what this psychological move is, the surprising science behind why it works, and how to apply it right away to flip the dynamic in every client conversation. Plus, I'll give you a simple 4-word phrase backed by 42 studies that doubles your close rate. But first, let me show you exactly what this do not disturb sign has to do with all of it. Okay. So here's the psychological principle that makes this work, and this is backed by decades of research. It's called psychological reactance, but I like to call it the do not disturb effect. Imagine for a second that you're walking down a hotel hallway and you see a couple of do not disturb signs hanging on the doors. Now, logically, you probably don't care what's happening in that room at all, if someone's even in there. But the second that you see that sign, part of your brain suddenly becomes aware of that room. Why? Well, because the sign changed that situation from neutral to restricted. That room is now off limits. It's private, it's closed off. And the moment something feels unavailable, forbidden, or restricted, people naturally become more interested in it. That is reactance in action. It's the same reason that when you were a kid and your parents said, "Don't go in that room," suddenly that was the only room that you cared about. Not because the room itself was special, but because somebody told you that you couldn't. And the moment that someone restricts your access to something, even something that you didn't even care about just a few seconds ago, well, your brain perceives that as a threat to your freedom. And threats to your freedom trigger an almost primal urge to restore that freedom immediately. Here's what the research shows. Back in the 1960s, psychologist Jack Bream discovered something fascinating about human behavior. When people feel their freedom is being threatened or limited in any capacity, they experience psychological reactance, which is an intense motivation to restore that freedom. In other words, the moment that you make something feel limited or restricted or hard to get, people want it more. This is why kids want the toy that their sibling is playing with, or why people want to get into an exclusive club with a line around the block, or why buyers want the product that's almost always sold out. But here's where most business owners get this completely wrong. They think scarcity means saying something like, "I only have 3 spots left," or "This offer expires Friday," but that's not psychological reactance. That's just usually fake scarcity, and your prospects can smell it a mile away. Real psychological reactance, on the other hand, happens when you make people feel like they need to qualify to work with you. Let me say that again, because this is critical. You're not creating fake scarcity around your availability. You're creating real selectivity around who you choose to work with. And the moment someone feels like they might not qualify, like they might not be good enough for you, well, their brain kicks into overdrive, trying to prove that they are. That is when they start chasing you. And the science behind this is fascinating. When someone perceives themselves as being evaluated or judged, they automatically shift from, "Do I want this?" to, "Am I good enough for this?" And that simple shift, well, it changes everything, because now they're trying to convince you instead of you trying to convince them. Stanford research on social psychology, which is kind of a tongue twister, shows that people value things more when they have to work for them. And one of the most powerful forms of work is proving that you're worthy of something. This is why people will camp outside of a store for a limited edition sneaker drop, but won't buy the same shoe sitting on a shelf. Or why exclusive clubs with velvet ropes and strict door policies are seen as more desirable than places that just let anybody walk in. The harder something is to get, the more we want it. Not because the thing itself changed, but because the challenge of getting it makes it feel more valuable. So when you make prospects feel like they need to qualify to work with you, they subconsciously assign more value to your services. Not because your services changed, but because the context changed. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, "That sounds great, Adam, but how do I actually do this without sounding like an arrogant jerk?" Good question, my friend. Good question. That's exactly what I'm about to show you. But before I show you how to do this right, let me first show you what I used to do, because it was a total disaster and the perfect example of what not to do. So here's how things used to go. I'd get on a sales call and immediately be in full sales mode, saying things like, so here's what we do, here's how it works, here's why it's amazing, here's our results. And usually the prospect would listen politely and then say things like, that sounds great, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. And then, sure enough, nothing. Everyone ghosted. And I do mean everyone. Sure, I'd chase them with a series of follow-up emails. Hey, just checking in. Do you have any questions? You still interested? But the result was always the same. It was exhausting and it didn't work, which just so happened to be two of my least favorite things. And all because the entire time I was the one trying to convince them. I was the one chasing. And when you're chasing, you're already losing. So I flipped the script. And everything changed. That's why I want to give you the exact framework I used. The same one I've used to land 5- and 6-figure clients in under 30 minutes without pitching, without pressuring, without pushing. I call it the Doorman method, and it works because it shifts you from being a salesperson to being the one that they have to impress. Think of it like applying for a membership at some exclusive country club. You don't just walk in and demand a membership card. You submit an application, you provide references, and you hope that the board votes you in. That is the energy that this framework creates, and it's made up of just 4 simple moves. So let me walk you through each one now, starting with move number 1. The Doorman Open, which takes place in the first 60 seconds of any conversation. Most people start sales conversations like this. Thanks for reaching out. I'd love to tell you about what we do. But that immediately positions you as the one that's trying to sell. Instead, I start with the Doorman Open, and it goes like this. Thanks for reaching out. Before we dive in, I want to make sure we're a good fit. I'd hate for either of us to waste time if this isn't the right approach for where you're at. I've learned my method works really well for certain situations, but not all. Does that make sense? So watch what just happened here. You didn't say no, you didn't create fake scarcity, you just implied that there's a qualification process, and they might not pass it. And when you do this, their brain immediately shifts from should I buy to am I good enough? Psychologically, what you just did was trigger reactance. Their brain just registered that working with you isn't guaranteed, it might not even be available to them. And the moment that happens, they want it more. It's like that do not disturb sign. The moment someone signals that they don't want to be disturbed, you want to know what's behind that door even more. Or, to put it another way, you're the one that's holding the velvet rope to an exclusive party that they just realized they might not make the list. Okay, let's keep going with move number 2, the standards reveal, which happens around minutes 2 to 5 of the conversation. So now that you've established that you're the doorman, you need to reveal your standards. Otherwise, it kind of just sounds like you're posturing. So here's how I do it. I say something like, the reason I ask is because I've found this approach works best for people who are already generating revenue but feel stuck. Clients who know their business works but can't figure out why their marketing isn't consistent tend to see results fast. People who need a few weeks to think it over usually end up not moving forward, and I'd hate for that to happen. So here's what's going on behind the scenes. You gave them 2 clear paths. Path 1, I'm already making money, but I'm stuck. I want results fast. Well, that's the good path. And path 2, I need weeks to think about it. This is the path that goes nowhere. That's the bad path. And they will always choose to see themselves as path 1. And the moment they do that, well, they've just sold themselves to you. What you've done here is created a self-selection mechanism. You set the bar and they started reaching for it. Okay, move number 3, the reflection close, which happens around the 5 to 10 minute mark. Now, sadly, this is where most people completely mess it up. Everything's going good, things are flowing smoothly, but then they get to the end of the conversation and they say something silly like, so, would you like to move forward? Ah, man, why? Bad move. That's you selling them again. And just like that, you undid all of the psychological positioning that you've just spent all of that time building up. This is why, instead, I choose the reflection close, and it goes like this. From everything you've just told me, I think this would work really well for you. The real question, though, is, does this feel like the right fit for what you're trying to accomplish? That's a powerful line, because watch what just happened. You decided they're qualified, so you took that pressure off them. Now, the only question is whether they think it's right, which means you've completely flipped the power dynamic. And here's the psychology behind this. By telling them they're already a great fit, you remove the am I good enough pressure, which means that reactance trigger is now gone. But by asking them to decide, you created something even more powerful, commitment to their own identity. The moment they say, even internally, I'm the type of person who takes action, you've just handed them a mirror. Now, if they hesitate, they're not saying no to you. They're contradicting themselves, and people hate doing that. So instead, they commit even harder. Okay, let's move on to move number 4, the final filter, also known as the close. If they say yes, you don't celebrate. You confirm by saying something like, perfect. Just so I'm clear, you're ready to implement this week, right? Because, like I mentioned, this only works if you're the type of person who takes action quickly. What you're doing here is reinforcing their self-image as someone who implements fast. You're also creating one final qualification hurdle, which makes them even more committed to proving that they're the right fit. But here's the key. You don't stop there. Instead, you move on to part 2 by adding one simple forward phrase that changes everything. And that phrase is, "But you are free." Let me explain. Back in 2013, communication researcher Christopher Carpenter analyzed 42 different studies and found that simply adding a phrase like, "but you are free to accept or refuse" to the end of a request significantly increased compliance rates. So why does this work? Well, it's because it removes psychological pressure. The moment you emphasize someone's freedom to say no, they stop feeling sold to. It's like offering someone an open door, an easy exit, and the moment they see it, they slam it shut themselves to prove that they're staying. Essentially, you're giving them a genuine out, and paradoxically, when people feel that freedom, when they know that they can just walk away without any judgment, they're more likely to say yes. This is because you're acknowledging their autonomy. You're making it clear that they're in control, and that removes all resistance. Now, the exact words that you use here don't matter as much as making sure that you're emphasizing their freedom to choose. For example, you could say, "You're free to choose," or "Obviously, no pressure," or "If you need more time, you're completely free to take it." That kind of thing. So what do you do then if they do hesitate? I mean, you just open the door for them. What if they actually walk out? Well, if they hesitate here, the answer is to pull back even more by saying something like this. "No worries at all. If you need more time, you're completely free to take as long as you need. Like I said before, I'm selective about who I work with. I'd rather you think about it and be absolutely sure than rush into something that you're not ready for." Then watch what happens. In my experience, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Nope, no, I'm ready." So what just happened psychologically? Well, you gave them an out and they doubled down on their commitment instead. Because here's the thing. When you emphasized their freedom to choose, you didn't reduce their commitment. You actually increased it. So now they feel even more compelled to prove that they're the kind of person who takes action quickly, which is the exact identity that they claimed at the beginning of all of this conversation. But let me walk you through how this actually played out in a real conversation that I had a couple of months back. A business coach who'd been following my stuff reached out asking about working together on his positioning. And like I mentioned before, my old instinct would have been to immediately explain what I do and why it's great and why we should work together. But as we've already covered here, that creates the wrong dynamic right from the start. So instead, I opened by saying, I want to make sure we're a good fit, that my approach works really well for certain types of businesses, but not for everyone. And then, almost like clockwork, exactly as we were expecting, the interesting thing happens. He immediately asks what kind of businesses I typically work with. And what's happening behind the scenes here is that without even realizing it, he made a shift from evaluating me to hoping that he qualifies and trying to understand what he needs to do in order to get there. So I explained my standards, that I work best with people who are already generating revenue but feel stuck with inconsistent positioning and who are ready to implement within the next 30 days, not people who want to explore options for months on end. His response was, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely interested. I've been wanting to fix this for months." And again, notice what just happened. He's already started proving that he fits the standards before I even explained what I actually do or made any kind of offer whatsoever. In other words, the psychology is working exactly as it was designed to. From there, I spent about 10 minutes just asking questions to understand his situation. So again, no pitch, just questions. Then, provided he actually was a good fit, which in this case he was, I told him that I thought he'd be a great fit and asked if he felt that this was the right approach for what he was trying to accomplish. He said yes immediately and asked what the next step was. So I laid it all out. Onboarding form, kickoff call scheduled for Thursday, and I confirmed that he was ready to start this week since this approach works best when people implement quickly. He said yes, absolutely, send me the details. And that conversation turned into a $35,000 deal in about 25 minutes. No pitch deck, no convincing, no handling objections. Now, the Doorman method works in real time, in the conversation itself. But the smarter version of this is to build the Doorman right into your booking system, so people are qualifying themselves before they ever get on a call with you. Here's what that looks like. The software I use to run my whole business is called High Level, and inside of it, you can build a booking page where people have to answer a few real questions before they can get on your calendar. These are questions like, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Or what have you already tried to fix this? Or my favorite, if we don't end up working together, what's your plan B? That last one is the killer, because the moment they have to imagine not working with you, their brain starts arguing for why they need to. And then, one more question. Describe your business 6 months from now if we nail this. Now, they're future-pacing themselves. By the time that they hit submit, they've already sold themselves on that outcome. So watch what's happening here. They're not just filling out a form. They're proving they're serious. They're articulating the pain. They're imagining the alternative, and they're picturing the win. By the time they show up on your calendar, they've already done half of the work of selling themselves. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from, I hope I qualify. I'll put a link in the description below this video where you can grab an extended 30-day free trial to High Level, along with a bunch of done-for-you templates and trainings, including the booking page setup that I just walked you through. Now that you've seen why this works, let's get it working for you. So here's exactly how you implement the Doorman method starting today. Step 1 is to craft your Doorman open. Write out your version of the following opener to use in the first 60 seconds of the conversation. Before we dive in, I want to make sure we're a good fit. I'm selective about who I work with because insert your reasoning. Does that make sense? Now, your reasoning could be, my approach only works for certain types of businesses, or it could be, I've learned that this gets the best results with people who insert your standards there, or I only take on clients who are ready to implement quickly. Step 2, define your standards for the reveal. Your goal should only be to work with perfect fit clients, the kind of people who are going to love you and love what you do and want to tell everyone they know about just how great you are. The kind of people that you're going to be able to get the best results for. So what makes someone a good fit versus a bad fit? And you want to be specific here. For example, if you're a business coach, your standards could be, do they need to be generating revenue already? Do they need to be ready to implement within 30 days? Or do they need to have tried other approaches first? The more specific your standards and your selectivity feel, well, the higher the bar that you're setting for them to reach. Step 3, practice the reflection close. Instead of, would you like to move forward? Practice saying this. Based on what you've told me, I think you'd be a great fit. The question is, do you think this is right for you? Now here's the key. You need to practice saying this out loud multiple times before you ever get on a sales call. Say it in the mirror, say it in the car, say it until it feels completely natural coming out of your mouth. Because if you stumble over this line or it sounds rehearsed in the moment, you're going to kill the psychology. This line needs to sound conversational and it needs to sound genuine. And the only way to get there is through repetition. Step 4, use pullback language for the final filter. Whenever they hesitate, give them an out. Something like this. No worries if you need more time. I'd rather you be sure than rush into something. This triggers psychological reactance and usually makes them recommit immediately. Here's the thing. You're not trying to pressure anyone anyway. Hard selling just doesn't work. It just creates buyer's remorse and difficult clients. You're the expert after all. And if they're not ready, they're not ready. So when you give them this out, you've got to mean it. That authenticity is what makes this technique so effective. Step 5, reflect their own words back to them. When you're talking, listen to how they describe themselves and their situation. Then reflect it back. They say, I've been wanting to fix this for months. You say, so you're past the research phase. You're ready to actually solve this. They say, I need to get this done quickly. You say, got it. So you're looking to move fast on this. They talk about taking action. You say, sounds like when you decide something's right, you commit to it. You're not putting words in their mouth or inventing personality traits. You're just mirroring what they're already telling you. Now, before you go out and start using this, I need to give you 3 important warnings because if you get these wrong, the Doorman method will backfire on you. Your selectivity has to be real. This only works if you genuinely have standards and you're actually willing to turn people away. If you'll work with anyone who's got a pulse and a credit card, people are going to sense it immediately. You just can't fake selectivity. It's got to come from genuine standards about who you work best with. Warning number 2, don't confuse confidence with arrogance. There is a big difference between saying, I'm selective because I want to ensure great results, and acting like you're just too good for most people. One is professional positioning, the other just makes you sound like a jerk. Remember, you're the doorman, not a bouncer on a power trip. Warning number 3, this doesn't work if you're desperate. If you need every deal that comes through the door, you're not going to be able to pull this off convincingly. The selectivity has to come from genuine confidence in your results, not manufactured scarcity because you're broke. And look, if you're in that position right now, that's okay. I get it. We've all been there. But this method works best when you have at least a few wins under your belt and you're not operating from scarcity. So get a few clients first, do some work for free if you have to, build up some case studies and testimonials, then come back to this method once you've got some momentum. Now look, the Doorman method is powerful, but it's just one psychological move. And here's the thing, the most effective salespeople don't just use one technique, they stack multiple psychological principles together. So if you're ready to stop chasing clients and start having them chase you, the next video that I've got linked up right here is going to walk you through 10 more techniques that flip the power dynamic for good. Again, it's linked up right here, so tap or click that now. I'll see you in there in just a second.